types of cooperative learning groups. There are different types of cooperative learning groups, but for our session and for our purpose, we'll talk about the four types of cooperative learning groups, okay, as proposed and identified by Johnson and Johnson, 2014. First is informal cooperative learning. Informal cooperative learning is also called temporary or ad hoc groupings. So this type of cooperative learning lasts for from few minutes to one class period. It is only temporary and does not last for an extended period of time. Informal cooperative learning is used to enhance other approaches like direct instruction. So informal cooperative learning is not the main approach that is being utilized, but rather it is used to enhance other approaches, like again, as I mentioned, direct instruction. So let's say the teacher can ask the students to discuss a question, okay, or to summarize the main points of the lesson. So after that, the teacher can ask the students to group themselves, to pair up, to form a triad or a dyad, and ask the members of the group to discuss about the topic being or the question being asked. So that's informal cooperative learning. It's similar to a small group sharing or discussion. Second type of cooperative learning groupings is formal cooperative learning. So this type of cooperative learning extends from one period to several weeks. In informal, it's shorter, it's only lasts from probably several minutes to one class period. But informal cooperative learning, okay, it can last from one class period to several weeks. So the idea is you want to achieve shared goals and of course to complete a task. So you assign students to formal cooperative learning groups. So in formal cooperative learning, it is also important for the teacher to specify the objectives for the lesson. Ideally, one academic objective and one social skill, which will be achieved at the end of the activity or session or lesson. Second, teacher also very important aside from specifying the objectives for the lesson that the teacher makes a series of decisions about how to structure the learning group. Very important, unlike the informal where you simply ask the students to get a partner or to form a triad or a dyad and share about what you ask them. Informal cooperative learning, the groupings are very important that you consider how you will group the students, or like for example the size of the groups and the composition of the groups, and of course very important the roles that will be assigned to each member of the group. At the same time, the materials that will be used, okay, very important that in cooperative learning, particularly, very important that when you give materials, you do not give the same materials. So that means each member, let's say you have a group of 4 students, so you need to prepare materials, good for 4 members, So each member will read material, but they're not reading the same materials. That's the idea. So that's second. So number one is specify the objectives of the lesson. So in formal cooperative learning, very important for the teacher to specify the objectives of the lesson. And second is to decide as to how the groups or the class will be grouped and how the group will be structured. Third is the teacher teaches the academic concepts or the principles and strategies that need to be mastered or will be used in the lesson. So here in informal cooperative learning, the teacher actually does not simply provide the materials, but in informal cooperative learning, the teacher actually teaches the important concepts or principles about the topic being studied. So here the teacher explains the task to be completed, the criteria for success, probably provide also rubric, which will be used to assess the group, and very important, the elements of the cooperative learning should be discussed. Number four, monitor the functioning of the learning groups and intervenes if necessary. So in formal cooperative learning, um, after giving the materials for the group to study and discuss, the teacher roams around, supervises the whole activity, and whenever necessary, intervene to clarify some of the misconceptions. And finally, evaluate students' performance. So there are five important elements of formal cooperative learning. First is specifying the objectives to be achieved. Then, of course, structuring the class, and of course deciding as to how the class will be grouped and the composition of the groupings. Then, of course, very important, the teacher teaches the important concepts and principles or strategies related to the topic being discussed or presented. And of course, monitoring the activity. So very important, that the teacher monitors and supervises the whole session activity, and finally evaluate the performance of the learning groups or the class. So that's formal cooperative learning. The third type of cooperative learning is cooperative based or home group. This type of cooperative learning can last from, let's say, one semester to a year or even more. In my case, at the start of at the beginning of the semester, I organized my class into learning groups, and I'm happy that even after one semester, they continued with their learning groups. And in fact, um, when I handled them in another subject, they would prefer, they would express their preference to stay in their learning group. So even beyond when we are even done with our course, they still continued with their learning group. So that's the whole idea. So cooperative base or home group is more permanent and actually much longer. So the interaction, the engagement of the students to the group is much longer as compared to informal or formal. So the students in the group provides not only academic support but even emotional support. The in 2021, for example, we conducted an action research. Um, we conducted an intervention to help the students because we had for almost 1 year, we did not have face-to-face class. At that time, the pandemic started and the classes were suspended. So it was really difficult, especially for the students. So one of the interventions that we implemented was the home visitation, and part of the intervention that we also, aside from the home intervention, was to introduce cooperative learning, encourage students to participate and engage in the discussion, in their assigned learning groups. So it was really hard, especially for many of us, for many of the teachers, since it was something that we did not really plan. So all of a sudden, the face-to-face, the traditional way of delivering instruction, was suspended, and um, we were told, to like make modules instead of really preparing, like our traditional way of teaching. So it was hard, but it was more difficult for the students, to adjust. But the idea, because it was hard for teachers to monitor each and every members of the class, the cooperative learning actually helps, no, because instead of monitoring every one of your students, like we have a class of 45, no, it will be actually next to impossible to really monitor every one of your students. But in cooperative learning, since you have group them, so it will be easier, no, because you only, like for example, once a week, for example, you would set a meeting with either the cooperative learning group leaders or with the specific, no, cooperative learning groups, no, to discuss about misconceptions or to clarify some issues probably, or to answer some of their questions. That's the whole idea. So unlike the informal and the formal cooperative groups, cooperative based or home group is much longer, no, and of course students are group, no, heterogeneous, very important, no, similar to the formal groupings, no. So in terms of the membership of the group, no, they stay in the same group, no, for like one semester or even longer, no. At the same time, no, students are actually encouraged, no, to help each other, not only in terms of like providing supports when it comes to academic difficulties, no, but even whenever, like for example, they have members who have personal problems, no. For example, I have one student, they are now in fourth year, no, and so I have this student who have expressed actually, not to me personally, you know, he expressed his challenges, the difficulties. In fact, he told his group mates that he's going to stop coming to school, you know. But good thing, you know, that one of his co-members, no, informed me about his concern, and because of the learning groups, no, I was able to also address the concern of that particular students. And finally, number four, constructive controversy. So constructive controversy, unlike the informal, the formal, and the base group or the home group, okay, is only organized whenever there is a very controversial issue, no, that needs to be resolved, no. Let's say, for example, if you have a topic, no, if the topic talks about, let's say, capital punishment, or let's say abortion, for example, no, some people would say that women, of course, have the right to their own body. Therefore, they have the right, for example, to abort their babies. No, let's say their baby, for example, is a product of an abuse. No, for example, the woman, for example, was raped. No, and as a result of that incident, um, the woman got impregnated. And she wanted to abort the baby, no. Of course, under our existing laws, abortion, no, in any form, no, for whatever reason is illegal, no, or of course it's immoral. But there are those people that says na women should be, since it's their own body and they should be respected, no, if they decide to abort their baby or something like that, no. So the idea here is this actually, unlike the, it's this is one this is similar to the informal cooperative group, but unlike the informal cooperative, this is specifically designed, no, to address some controversial issue. Okay, so those are your four types of cooperative learning groups. Again, going back, no, the first cooperative learning group is informal cooperative learning group, which lasts from few minutes to several minutes to, let's say, one class period. That's 1 hour and 30 minutes, no? And of course, the second one is formal cooperative learning, which lasts from one period to several weeks. Okay, but unlike the informal cooperative learning, formal cooperative learning, you know, very important. No, the groupings are really there is really an intention, no, to group the students, no. So the grouping should be heterogeneous, no, But of course, the first one, the informal cooperative learning, no, groupings can be done not really heterogeneously, meaning you can simply ask the students to group themselves by like get a partner or form a triad, for example, or something, no, and share about. So basically, it's like the traditional small group sharing and discussion. So that's informal cooperative. While formal cooperative, on the other hand, it's in terms of the groupings, no, you really decide. No, the teacher should come up with mechanics, no, procedure as to how the students will be grouped, no. So there should be like, for example, if you have a co-ed class, for example, so make sure that both the male and the females are equally distributed in the different learning groups, no. And of course, if possible, no, ideally, students should be assigned to the different groups, no, meaning based on their, like, for example, if you have, let's say, if you give a diagnostic test, no, it should be based on the result of the diagnostic test. So that means, like every group should have students who have actually mastered, no, the topic, no, have gained some mastery of the topic, and students who have still struggling, no. So the idea is each the members of the group will help each other. Those who have gained some mastery will help those who have difficulty. This, of course, those who have difficulty also can also help the even those who are have gained already mastery about the topic. So that's formal cooperative learning groupings, no? And of course, third is the cooperative base or home group, which is much more formal. I mean, formal, of course, similar to the formal cooperative groupings, but this one is longer, no? It can last from, let's say, one semester to a year, no? Okay. And of course, very important, no, that similar to formal groupings, the grouping should be heterogeneous. Okay, so but again, no, the idea is all members of the groups, no, are assigned, no, are responsible not only for their own learning but also to help, no, other members of their learning group. And finally, constructive controversy. So constructive controversy, similar to informal cooperative learning, but unlike informal cooperative learning, constructive controversy is organized only whenever there are controversial issues, no, or issues that need to be resolved. No? So that's the only time that you organize constructive controversy. No? In constructive controversy, no, the groups will be divided into two. No? So within the learning group, there will be subgroups. No? So that means if you have a member, or let's say in each learning group you'll have 10 members. So the groups, no, the 10 members will be divided into two groups or groups of five, and they will be assigned to pros and cons. So one group will take the, for example, in like if the issue is about abortion, for example, one group will discuss about the pros, no, why women should be allowed to abort the baby, something like that, and on the other group will be assigned to cons, why women should not be allowed, why killing, something like that, or abortion should not be allowed. Okay, so those are the types of cooperative learning.